All right. Good morning, everyone. Jennifer Tidball. I'm the Communications Director for Economic Development for K-State. Happy to be here with all of you.
All right, so let's get this thing started. This is the first Friday eCall, and just a little bit about where we've been going, what we've been up to. These last few months, we've really honed in on the topic of entrepreneurship. And if you've been following along these last couple months or taking a look at some of the articles that we've had about entrepreneurship come out because of these calls, we started in February in Topeka. And we talked to Stephanie Moran, who is really developing and honing in on that entrepreneurship innovation space with her Link Innovation. She talked a little bit about the plug and play, the global startup accelerator that we have here in Topeka that all of the colleges and universities help feed into. And then last month, we talked a little bit about more of the Kansas entrepreneur space. We talked to Connor Adler and Mary Beth Jarvis with Nextus. We talked to them about their game changers and champions. So that's a little bit more of the state focus. And so today we're going to continue that theme with entrepreneurship. So with that, the slide Jennifer has on there, we've got a QR code if you need to take a look at any of the topics that either I have covered or our good friend Nancy has covered in the last couple of years. That's how you can find our website. That's how you can find the archives of some of these amazing YouTube videos that we've done over the last couple of years. So keeping with the theme of entrepreneurship, my favorite topic today will be youth entrepreneurship. But we're going to do a little appetizer teaser for what you're going to hear about next month. So Nancy, go ahead and take it away and let us know what to expect for the future.
Well, I'm here to let you know that we'll be talking with Mayor Robin Carlson and Josie Hammer, our local co-host in Cortland. Cortland, a community of less than 400 people, is the smallest location in the nation that's ever had a CEC conference. In Missouri, they don't let them apply unless they've got less than 15,000 residents. And you are just going to have your socks blown off when you see the entrepreneurship in Cortland. Mayor Robin is going to be a keynote speaker to talk about Find Your Cortland. These folks think that they can do anything. I mean, I swear, we told them we'd like to have one-third K-State resources, one-third state resources, and one-third from the local community. But I backed off when I saw all the resources in the local community. I want you to hear and see that you too can be a Cortland, Kansas, as you come to workshops that are located right within the shops and businesses right along the 2 blocks of Cortland, Kansas. So we will be with you on May 1st to preview what you'll find as an entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur support organization when you come to Cortland on June 24th, 25th, and 26th. And you know, any CEC conference, I've been to several in the nation, any CEC conference that has a workshop in a brewery is always a popular place.
All right, Nancy. Well, thank you so much for that. We'll be looking forward to that conversation. And I have a feeling May will be here before we know it. So we've got the link in the chat about the CEC, how to register, how to get more information, get it on your calendar, and plan on attending. So with that, let's go ahead and shift gears into today's topic. I say this about every topic, but youth entrepreneurship is what our focus is today. And we've got our great friends from Network Kansas to talk to us about it. I've been honored to be a judge for the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge the last couple years. And we are, the kids come and it's like a Shark Tank scenario. And so every year there's always at least one story that makes me like almost cry as a mom and as somebody in the community that's just like, I love it. So we are building out a much stronger on-ramp for entrepreneurship in Kansas. And none of us would be successful without some of this programming that is happening with Network Kansas and some of the partners that they are going to talk about today. So with that, I'm going to introduce our two speakers. It'll be Bailee Henry, who oversees the program. But first, I'm going to kick it over to Eric Peterson. He is the president and COO of Network Kansas. Eric, how are you today?
Good to see you. Hey, before we start, everybody, if you get a chance, hop over to the chat and yeah, just enter your name and who you are so we can see who's all on this. Really appreciate everybody spending Good Friday with us this morning. And real quick, before I introduce Bailee, Nancy, what you said is exactly right. I hope people can make it to Cortland. I've been there many times. Republic County is one of our more high performing e-communities that we work with, and the Irrigation Ales Brewery that our friend Luke Mahan has stood up a couple years ago. It's something you need to see. And that town just really embraces entrepreneurship and festivals and celebrations better than a town that size should do. They do a cool job of it. So well done, Nancy, and I look forward to the CEC conference. So back to the business at hand. Uh, there's been very few things in my 20 plus years at Network Kansas that have the trajectory and the momentum that our youth engagement work has. And for the last several years, the leadership of it, and that I mean all of the local YEC events and the state championship, as well as the oversight of the competition management software that we have, Venture Dash, it all falls under the oversight of Bailee Henry. And she's just done a fantastic job with it. And so it's my pleasure to hand the ball to her to give a presentation this morning. It's all yours, Bailee.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi everyone, my name's Bailee. I have the honor of working with our Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge series. In a true speaker fashion, I'm going to start off with a video.
Hey, Bailee, and you might speak a little louder when you're up. I was having trouble hearing you.
That's all I was going to say. I know my microphone is being kind of wonky today. I just clicked something that I thought helped, but it might be making it worse.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with a video just to, in a typical speaker fashion. So let me share my screen really quick.
The Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge is an opportunity for youth to be able to create their own business, whether it's something that they explore in real life or something fictitious that maybe they want to continue to explore.
A lot of them will do some research within their communities to see what a need is, and they try to fill that gap, fill that need with a business that would benefit the community.
The Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge series is a series of locally organized youth entrepreneurship competitions that occur at the local level. They culminate into a statewide competition, which we call the Kansas Entrepreneurship Challenge.
We believe that through the YEC series, students are learning the value of entrepreneurship and learning to reinvest in their communities and continue to support the small businesses that do keep their communities thriving. And we hope that they'll continue to find a place in their hometown and find it to be a successful place to be and continue to grow up the communities in Kansas.
So the Kansas Entrepreneurship Challenge is an opportunity for youth to come to campus and showcase their talents and the businesses that they've developed in their hometowns or counties. It's an opportunity for them to share their skills and abilities and some of the business processes they've worked up.
They're going to have a business plan prepared. They're going to have a pitch or a formal presentation prepared. They have just a few minutes to tell you about their product, business, idea, whatever. And then last but not least is a trade show. They are showcasing their products and can talk to you about their business in a very comfortable place.
Then they go out and they sell certain products, from lanyards to services such as lawn mowing, all the way to jams and jellies.
So a lot of the skills that are involved in the Youth Entrepreneurship Competition are the same things we teach in 4-H. A lot of project-based learning, and that's a huge part of this competition as well, is obviously they're in front of judges, they're talking to people at the trade show portion of the event. So kind of together, and also if kids in 4-H, they could take one of those projects, enter it into their local youth entrepreneurship competition, and then mesh what they've already done with the opportunity to go on to something else.
All right. Let me get to my slides now again.
All right. I just thought that that kind of does a great job to explain the kind of holistic view of all of the students, and maybe what you might see at a local competition or at a state event. So I'm going to, this is the kind of the holistic words that you might have just heard within that call. Some of the things to highlight, the students will participate in these local events. As I mentioned, they're organized at the local level. This last year, we had 70 events that occurred. The requirements to host an event are to have an executive summary as well as some sort of formal presentation. So that might be, it'll be a time for them to get in front of adult judges. Those might be business owners, mentors, former teachers, professionals within the community. It's a great way to engage professionals within local communities. You also, as you saw in that video, within the last few years, we've began partnering with K-State 4-H, which has been a really fantastic partnership, as well as the K-State Center for the Advancement of Entrepreneurship. So you might be wondering, how do I get involved in this? I just talked about how we just had 70 events. So yes, a lot of those have just concluded, but there's still some time to get involved. So being involved can be a variety of many different ways. So the biggest, most, I would say, daunting, but the most rewarding as well would be to be a host. So, we have 70 of those across the state that have taken the ownership of hosting a youth entrepreneurship challenge within their event. So that means organizing teachers, coordinating with students, getting mentors, organizing the day of, feeding the students, the support, managing budget, things like that. It's a large ask, but as an organization, we've been doing this for over 12 years, and so we've developed resources like the resource guide and have a plethora of networks to kind of support this. So it includes judges, mentors, entrepreneurs, and then sponsors. So, a lot of these local communities will have local businesses, maybe food-based businesses, or just entrepreneurs that see this as a value to their community that want to give back. So along the bottom, you see the deadline. So by November is when we ask that, excuse me, local hosts let us know if they would like to host an event. The deadline to host an event for students to sign up is March 24th, which obviously was just not that long ago. And then something that's new this year that we're really, really excited about that I'll share a little bit later in some of my slides is, which I think I'm gonna have to probably move this thing so you guys can see, is the in-person wildcard events that are going to be held at Fort Hays and Pittsburgh State this year. So we're really, really excited about those. And then we will also be hosting the state event at K-State on the 28th and 29th. So here's a quote from a YEC parent. We find those to be extremely valuable as they have to do a lot often do a lot to support the students through the process as they're kind of empowered to see themselves as an entrepreneur. This is the real life application of those skills that they're learning in school, of reading, of writing, of speaking publicly, of, creative application, the project-based learning that Julie mentioned in the video. So the ability for the students to share their ideas is extremely valuable. And as you see, here's, a picture of the trade show where you see all the students showcasing their ideas. Here is a kind of highlight of our participant growth. So I mentioned our first year was back in 2013, 2014 academic school year. There were communities in the Northwest region that were hosting what they called e-fairs or entrepreneurship fairs. Our staff had the honor of coming alongside, trying to support those as well as create some framework to grow those across the state. So that first year we had 5 events, 48. That has progressively grown to this last year featuring over 70 events, over 1,170 students, 500 judges, over 100 schools. We are really, really proud of those numbers, but we couldn't do that without some of the amazing people that these are just a snippet of the amazing people that we rely on and we are so thankful for to support these competitions. So we are able to do this, and I know Eric mentioned this through our e-community partnership, which is represented on this map here. And we have the amazing staff that are shown here. And I know that that's probably maybe small on your screen. If you're interested in getting in contact, feel free to find their contact information on our website if you are falling within one of those regions and you are not connected to these amazing people. So within each region, these e-community professionals will work deeply with the community to set goals based on entrepreneurship activity, and then decide if they want to host programming such as this Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge that we mentioned here. So, yeah, anyway, if you're not connected to these individuals and you would like to be, please let us know, or if you would like to see a YEC in your community, or if you would like to be connected. Like I said, obviously these have passed, but if you're seeing, maybe a dot on your county and you're not as plugged in as you would like to be, please let us know. Also, I mentioned earlier about this partnership with K-State Extension that has been extremely valuable. We're in our third year of collaboration. K-State 4-H has added the entrepreneurship 4-H program area. About a third of our participants at the state level are 4-H participants, which you saw represented in that video where you maybe saw the K-State Research and Extension little sign on their table. And this year, I'm really excited because we were able to grow 7 new events this season, and that's largely due to the amazing K-State entrepreneurship professionals, K-State Extension professionals that exist within these local communities. So, and being able to connect them with our local professionals have been absolutely amazing. So, yeah, it's just in a way that we've been able to, multiply all of the work that's been doing. And so also how we're able to support this is via the structure of Venture Dash. So it's our online competition management platform. We use it to support all of the local events. It was born out of really necessity. We had partners that were managing really complex events via spreadsheets, and we wanted to make that a lot easier for them because we knew that that was adding a little bit of stress to them. So if we could make a one-stop shop, we wanted to. So via feedback, via partners, our annual YEC Summit, we were able to collect feedback and build Venture Dash. So there's customizable tools. It's really just a great way to manage any sort of competition. We have years of experience. We have partners that have used it. It's kind of the students can upload their material, judges can get on there and review. And you're able to, get scores instantaneous. It's a really, really awesome software. So here's a quote from a YEC participant. Overall, YEC is a great opportunity for young aspiring entrepreneurs to learn how to operate a successful business and make long-lasting connections with business mentors. Obviously, I don't think I mentioned through this process, we do offer students might receive some prize money. We see the long-term goal as some of those sustainable partnerships, learning where to, get those business resources if they do want to continue with their business idea or maybe have one down the road when supporting their community. Earlier, I mentioned our new in-person wildcard regional events. So we're really excited about those. Those are going to be next week at Fort Hays and Pittsburgh State. So yes, a lot of our events have occurred, but if you are in near proximity to Fort Hays or Pittsburgh, it's going to be a great way to go kind of get a little taste of what these events might look like, see these students' ideas. I promise you they are extremely impressive. So we're really looking forward to this continued partnership. If you're interested in supporting, sponsoring or anything, these events, this is going to be really a great addition. This is through the process, through this, each of the series competition, we take the winner of each local event and then invite them to the state competition, as well as up to 15 wild cards. So that process just concluded. And then we're also opening it up to more wild cards via this process. So we had around 69 businesses that applied for those 15 spots online, and we had around 30 judges that reviewed those and made their final decisions. So the state event as well is another place that you could get connected. So that is going to be in Manhattan on April 28th and 29th. like I mentioned, we're going to take the winners of the 70 events as well as 25 wild cards, 15, or so from that online competition, as well as 5 or so from those or those in-person events. We're having a public trade show on April 28th at the Midwest Dream Card Collection from 5:30 to 7:30. So if you're in Manhattan and interested and available, we would love to see you. Through this, the students will have the opportunity to participate in 3 mock boardrooms, an entrepreneurship networking game, that trade show, as well as a design challenge to help support local entrepreneurs. So they'll have the ability to network with other students that are entrepreneurial minded, showcase their ideas, get feedback. It'll just be a really, really great day. We always say it's like our Christmas. It's like our favorite day of the year. If we could bottle up that excitement, the energy that's in the trade show, we would, because it really is such a fun day and really makes you excited for the next generation. So some ways to get involved would be attend the upcoming events, both April 7th, the Eastern or the Western event, attend the in-person trade show at the Midwest Dream Card Collection. Also, if you're hosting any competitions, any online, a pitch competition, anything that might require people to upload things, and you might have some people reviewing parts of it, you might consider using VentureDash for that. It's a really a great opportunity to kind of manage that, as opposed to having to manage a lot of emails, spreadsheets, all that stuff. And then please connect with myself, with those e-community professionals, with your K-State Extension professional within your local community, if you're interested in getting involved in YEC, or if you have any other, entrepreneurship programming ideas or youth entrepreneurship programming ideas. So I think that is all I have. So I will stop sharing and answer any questions.
Bailee, that was fantastic. I love how you were talking about each of the businesses that come in. And we have in the chat here, we asked some people if they have been judges and what they thought about that. My feedback from being a judge is that there are young people in our state who do such an amazing job pitching their business, advocating for themselves, talking about their small town. I mean, I think that this is a skill set that is so relevant to the world we live in right now. I mean, there is no greater way that kids can acclimate to this new world of living with AI, finding resources for themselves, pulling them together, and then talking about them than what we see in these pitches. They're just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, some of them, they might have a conceptual idea. Some of them might have, a real life, lawn mowing business that you might have seen, or maybe even paid to mow your lawn. So we see kind of a plethora, but their ability to, put themselves in that role of an entrepreneur. I mean, whether they actually become an entrepreneur with that business, I mean, that would be fantastic. We would love to support that. But, maybe in 10 years after they go to trade school and they realize that, maybe they don't want to work for someone else as a mechanic. They maybe want to open their own mechanic shop. They've learned the resources. They've felt empowered to kind of look at finances, maybe figure out what that might look like in a community. We see that those as just skills that are invaluable, especially when exposed to them at an earlier age. So our program's focused on grades 6 through 12. Each community looks different. Each event looks different. Some might focus on, younger ages, but we do have them competing alongside each other at state, and some people might be like, whoa, I don't know about that. But then you see that honestly, some of the younger students are sometimes some of our top placers. So they are less involved. I mean, they have activities, but as you know, as you get students, they get older. High school is really busy with a lot of activities. So sometimes the junior high, the younger students still have great ideas. Real life hasn't really, they still have really big, bright ideas, and the ability to expose them to the ideas sooner is just a great time.
I love how so many identify as CEOs. I caught on to that last year. They're like, I'm the CEO of this company. And I'm like, I love it. Go ahead, Eric. You had a question.
Yeah, no, 2 things. First of all, I see Natalie Larson on the video. I want to make sure and shout her out. We've been lucky enough to have her work as a part-time part-time employee helping Bailee with this, and the two of them really work well together. And Natalie, I know from Bailee, you carry the ball on a lot of really important things. So thank you. But my question was this. The one thing you have me help with is always finding judges for the day of the mock boardrooms. And I know that some on this call have been kind enough to sign up to be a judge, but I also know from others that aren't on this that there are a lot of really awesome adults that spend their day doing this, and they're important people, they're great people. So what I want you to do, because what amazes me is how much the students love the mock boardrooms. I mean, they truly embrace it, and it's crazy to me. I wouldn't have at their age, but you hear them every year talk about how fun it was. Could you go just a little more in depth of what a mock boardroom is, so that everybody knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for your ability to get us such great judges. We have the ability to work with K-State Extension to also get us some fantastic judges. And so those are, you know, business professionals. I mean, we have a Shark Tank, a former Shark Tank pitch winner. I mean, we have just such, fantastic, a plethora of people that are just so excited to support these youth. And that's something that we hear often from them. And so in that mock boardroom, we give them a question 2 days in advance. And they're asked to include that in their mock boardroom. So they have 10 minutes with the judge. It's really their time to shine. We don't necessarily have a strict structure. Typically it's going to look like their maybe formal presentation room they had before, but they only have 10 minutes because we have to get through all of them. So they'll do their, 1 to 4 minute pitch. They'll answer their question and then give the judges a few moments to ask any questions that they do have. And they have the ability to do 3 of those. One year we did 4. We heard that was too many. But the students do like doing it multiple times. The first, if you only do it once, it's a lot of pressure on one event. By the time they get to that third one, they've really kind of refined that pitch, as well as the trade show. I got to attend the Miami County event this year, and there was a young entrepreneur who had just gotten done with the trade show and was ready to go in and do her presentation. And she was nervous, you could tell. So I was, just talking to her, and I was like, do you realize you just gave your pitch about 50 times to the public that came in and talked to you? But it was such a different thing. But putting her in that mindset, she went in and I think she killed it. But these students are really, really just so impressive. And their ideas are, I mean, both practical and things that you could do right now, but they also just have some great, next generation of thinking type ideas. And often are thinking about their community or in ways of nonprofits. And also, yes, thank you for shouting out Natalie. She's amazing. She was a youth entrepreneur herself, and has been, baking cookies since she was in 4th grade, Natalie. Okay, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Kansas youth entrepreneur right there, and has been absolutely fantastic to work with. Recent graduate of K-State Entrepreneurship Department too. So yep, just super great to work with.
Natalie, not to put you on the spot, but would you love to tell us about the business or any of your experiences and how it led you to K-State?
Yeah, sure. So like Bailee said, which thanks for the shout out, by the way, Bailee and Eric, that's awesome. But yeah, I started my business in 4th grade. My neighbor actually was a local farmer. I'm from Butler County, the Douglas area, if any of you know where that's at. But my neighbor down the street or down the road from us, he's a farmer, and he requested that I bake 8 dozen cookies for him every week. And he went through those between grandkids and just needing fuel for the farm, I guess. And so that really led my fuel to the fire, I guess, as you'd say, to start just baking in my small town. And yeah, since then I've kind of moved on to a more niche market of buttercream sugar cookies. And I did that all throughout high school and college. Besides my freshman year, I didn't bake in the dorms, but yeah, it's been really sweet to be able to relate to a lot of these student entrepreneurs, and it's just fun to kind of give them the resources that I wish I had growing up. Because my school wasn't a part of any community, and it was a thing, but it was new when I was in high school. So yeah. And then just as for how it led me to K-State, I don't know, like I just fell in love with a lot of the professors, which is fun because we get to work with them now. So I've not only known them and been taught by them for 4 years, but now I kind of get to work with them too. again, give those students the resources that I wish I had. So that's, yeah, basically it.
Gosh, that is awesome. And Paris put in the comments here that she had heard that there was a student business that received comments from the judges and then took that back and reapplied it to their business. And so he's developed a full roster of contacts detailing cars. And so I just love it. It's the cycle. And I think that's why this topic is so important. And that's why we've really talked about the same topic four different ways in these First Friday e-calls, about the whole ecosystem approach. So Bailee, I did have another question here, and then feel free to stick your questions in the chat. You are more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask the questions. In the video, they talked about having the ability to kind of make up a business. And so, can you talk a little bit about how we've got entrepreneurs that are active in their business, but then we've also got entrepreneurs that are pitching a concept? So yeah, tell us like what percentage come in that way, and what you guys have seen as far as trends or patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's a fantastic question. And that's something kind of a pivot that we made based on feedback from our judges, and that they, I mean, thought that it would maybe be easier because, as we all know, it takes many different businesses to create a thriving downtown. And so it's hard to, first, second, third, sometimes. And so, but the ability to compare like with like is nice. So we have a loose guideline, have you, if it's a lawn mowing business, have you started mowing lawns, or are you just pitching to go get your lawnmower? Just the ability to make that kind of differentiation of, I'm already doing it, I'm existing, I am baking, I am doing this, or I want to save for my KitchenAid mixer. So students kind of self-select into those groups, and will be judged like with like. We were able to test some of our theories. We originally thought that the existing businesses would maybe score better, but we found that the conceptual did, because they could be, it looks nice when you say you can make $40,000 a year, but when you're realistic as a high school student, I can only mow a few lawns. When I'm in school, I only made 5,000. Just different comparisons, and the ability to kind of be realistic about what they're able to do. But the ability for students to network and say, well, my idea was a snow cone business, and I see a student my age doing that. How can we network? Or I really want that leather. There was a really cool leather belt I saw another student make. I want to buy that from them because I want to support another student entrepreneur. So we see just a plethora of um, positive outcomes that these students have. And so we've made the ability to switch into existing and conceptual. We also went away from, I think I mentioned that first through fourth. So we award based on kind of like band. I mean, not, like the first, second, you get like a 1 rating, a 2 rating, a 3 rating. So we look at the scores. We don't really have a preconceived notion. But the day of, we get those live scores in Venture Dash, and we're able to look and say, you know, these top scores, this is the biggest break, and it might be as little as half a point, but it's the biggest break in how close these students are. And those will be what we'll award as like exemplary and then finalists. And so they'll get different awards based on kind of that structure. And that's been actually really, we've gotten really positive feedback from that, just because like I said, it takes a lot of great diverse businesses to have a thriving downtown, and it's hard to be like, this idea is just better than them all, because they're great ideas, they're students, they put themselves out there. And also, I think I mentioned how our, junior high students do really well in our top placers often. Our wild cards are as well. So a few years ago, we had, discussed maybe going away with taking those, but when you look at our top placers, it's often about half our wild cards or less. And as for that breakdown of conceptual and existing, it's like a 60-40, I feel like, and it kind of depends on the local events. A lot are often solopreneur businesses as well, so it might just depend on what that local community values, as well. So
Is there any geographical clusters like across the state? Is it like, oh man, Butler County is really coming on? I'm just kind of
yeah,
not to put you on the spot there, since we think about the statewide impact, but this is like the spark that can really get things started.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, shout out to, like I said, Northwest Kansas is kind of where this all started. Norton is always a really strong, has a really strong event. Thomas County has an extremely strong event. We have some that are maybe small but mighty, where they maybe don't have large numbers, without a classroom, but they have really strong contenders. And so, Wabunsee County comes to mind there, where they have often a lot of wild cards. Trying to think. Natalie, are there any others that come to mind that we kind of see a lot from?
I feel like Colby's such a notable uh like event. So I guess what is that, Thomas County?
Yeah, Thomas County,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
focus on the eighth grade too. And so that's one of those where, um, don't discredit the younger students because they're really capable. And they, all the students that go through that USD within that eighth grade class have to take that class. We also have a few that even make this a requirement for graduation, because they see the value in some of the project-based learning, the overall pitching, connecting with local community and things like that.
Yeah,
And
I want to second. Now, I want to
oh,
second one of the things Bailee was saying that I think made a huge difference. There's a lot of money in that research and extension puts behind this, and it's a great day. But what really made a big shift was a few years ago when they decided where what they wanted was each student to only be judged against himself. Sometimes no matter who you are as a judge, if Eric Peterson comes in with a coffee shop on Main Street as my idea, and Natalie Larson has an ag tech drone business, that's sexier. That just tends to capture your attention a little more. And that led to the challenges on trying to figure out first, second, third, fourth, whatever. But when they sat down a few years ago and said, let's just take this pot of money that's going to be awarded and set it aside. Let's not pre-allocate anything. And let's let every student just compete against himself. And at the end of the day, they will either be exemplary or great or really good, or however many categories they choose. I think there's three levels. Then let's look at it and go, okay, there were 8 exemplary and so many and so many. Now let's divvy up the appropriate amount of money rather than any preconceived plans. That made a huge difference. You could feel it the day of when the student walked in knowing, man, I'm here to compete against myself. If I do really good, it doesn't matter what anybody else does. It's all up to me. And that's a cool feeling, and you can feel it the day of. But forgive me for rambling. I wanted to ask one question and then I'll be done. Nancy asked Bailee, you probably can't see chat. Do you still need judges, etc.? She said K-State's Patsy Matty solicited, and Nancy wants to know if you still need judges. So I'm just asking you that question.
yes, I'm good on the day of judges. We might need some backups, but I have volunteer opportunities. So if you're similar to me, where you're not the biggest fan of judging, or Nancy, where it's hard to decide which student is better, if you just want to maybe be a timer, be a door monitor, we have some other volunteer opportunities that will be coming available. So if you're like, I don't know that I want to jump in fully, it's a great way to kind of just see the students, check out their ideas, be in the rooms, hear their pitches, without having to make all the decisions. So that's a fantastic question. But keep your eye out next year. If you're like Bailee, I'm going to make a note. I want Patsy to put me on my short list next year. Let us know. And if you're in a local community that has an event, you feel free to volunteer at the local level too. They're normally looking for judges, looking for sponsors, looking for volunteers. One of the things that was not on my list of ways to get involved, is like, when I had that host, is a lot of these communities will have maybe a small committee that they'll put together to support something like a YEC. So if you have a local organizer in your community and you know who that is, you might just ask, hey, how can I be of service? I have a good connection with so and so at the school. Do you work with that classroom? Some of the things I think I forgot to mention are, the hosts kind of can come from a plethora of organizations. It might be an economic development director, as I mentioned, K-State Extension, Main Street. We've had a plethora of partners that have kind of stepped up to the plate, to maybe lead this initiative, but it often takes many hands. So that's why I'm saying that, if you're interested and have the ability to give back, many hands make light work. And when looking at maybe implementing this in a community, yes, it might make sense to start with the entrepreneurship teacher, the business teacher. But don't forget about your ag teacher, your shop teacher, your, JAG K teacher. If you have any of those other programs within your school, there's things that they might be doing that fit in with this, and they might have the right students, especially in some of these smaller communities. So, I think those were my only like two things I kind of forgot to mention that I wanted to share just about if you're interested in implementing or being involved in any way.
I mean, entrepreneurship is so translatable. What's the date for the Manhattan event? I was looking in the chat. Natalie stuck in the sign up genius for low commitment volunteering. That's awesome. But yeah, what's the date here in Manhattan? I know it's coming up soon.
Yep, April 28th and 29th. So the 28th is going to be that public trade show. So that's that evening at the Dream Car Museum. Students are going to be, commingling amongst the cars. It'd be a great way to check out that awesome venue, and check out the 95 students that and their businesses that are going to be there. So evening will be 5:30 to 7:30, and then the day of will be in the Union. That's when the students will do their pitch. We don't have really a public option there unless you're willing to serve in one of those volunteer roles, which is a great way to, be a door monitor, hear from the students, allow them to kind of practice their pitch. And then also we will have the day before we're doing a design challenge with the CAPS Center for Advanced Professional Studies. And they are looking for a few businesses that might be willing to give up their afternoon and provide the students with a few prompts to maybe work through as they put on the hat of entrepreneur consultant and service some local entrepreneurs while they're at it. So if you know of any businesses, local businesses, or if you are a local business owner yourself and might be interested in the opportunity, want to give up your afternoon of the 28th, let me know.
Come on down. And is it accurate to say that we're getting so big we're outgrowing our spaces here? I'm seeding the future here. What's the future look like? We're already in the thousands right now. So like this thing can go bigger.
Yeah, and I mean, we want this to be in all communities. We want Kansas to be the most, we want this to be the, youth entrepreneurship capital, or where people think of when they think of this type of world. And so we're in, 70 communities. We're on par to be in all. We're kind of are doing some internal kind of reflection to see how we grow sustainably across, the region. We don't want it to be inaccessible, but we also don't want to spread ourselves too thin. And so we're trying to kind of figure that out. And so traditionally we work through e-communities. We also support non-e-communities. And so, yeah, I mean, we're kind of just always thinking that, and as well as with the addition of these wild card, regional events, we'll figure out how those look going in. And so as we kind of conclude this year, we'll have our kind of recap time, and then we'll announce our new guidelines around August and stuff. I think beginning of August is when we'll launch that. And so that's when we'll kind of provide those series guidelines for the upcoming year. But yes, if you're not in any of those communities that have one and you want to be engaged, let us know if there's any way we can support youth entrepreneurship in your community, maybe via something else. If you have something neat going on in your community, we would love to know about it, because we have over 75 e-communities across the state that we love borrowing great ideas and trying to share them across the state as well. So let us know how we can help.
All right. Any other questions from the audience? This has been a great presentation. I'm excited to see all of this youth entrepreneurship bubbling up across the state. And just thank you, Network Kansas. My goodness, you guys are really making impact. I have appreciated and deeply valued the partnership that we have through K-State and Network Kansas, and so many of the other partners that are on this call too. Yeah. Any other questions from the audience as we head towards the final minutes of Final Friday? No, First Friday. Oh, goodness.
Not Final Friday yet.
The final parts of First Friday. So yeah, Jennifer, Eric, any other questions? Nancy, did we get it all covered?
Yeah. Thank you for leading this, and thanks to everybody for being on. Really appreciate the day. Nice job, Bailee.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Good to see you all.
All
Have a
right.
great
Well, with
Friday.
that, everybody have a great Friday. We will chat soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.